Honestly, I don't know anybody who says they don't want to die in their home or a home-like setting, whether that be a nursing home or an assisted living. I'll be honest with you, I've never heard anyone say that they don't want to die in their home, surrounded by their loved ones.
You know, we're so busy learning how to keep someone alive. I think we forget that there is a normal cycle of life, and that we need to honor that. We need to honor patients' wishes, because sometimes we find ourselves trying to do things that are not necessarily in the best interest of what the patient wants, as opposed to what is technically possible.
Oh, she was just Mary Ruth. But she was a very sweet person. She never had an enemy. She had the most wonderful smile in the world, I thought anyhow. On her grave marker, I put on it, her smile brought joy to all who knew her. And that's kind of the way I felt.
There's such a thing as family around the bedside laughing, and people cooking in the kitchen their favorite foods, and family crying, and someone dying in the living room amongst all of that. And that's when you know hospice did a really good job. That's when you know that everything that patient needed was met, and everything that family needed at that time was met.
The cycle of life in my story is as true as it can be. As I'm giving birth to my first child, I'm losing my mom. So the hospice nurse called me at the hospital the next day and said, you know, your mom's not going to make it, and you need to come home. And I got to my mom and dad's home that night with my newborn baby, who was barely, not even 24 hours old yet. And I got to really experience hospice in its true definition. We had family members there. We had friends who'd been a part of our lives forever. We had music playing, and we were all just surrounded. It was peaceful, it was calm, it was comfortable. We all got to say our goodbyes, and we held my mom's hand as she took her last breath.
Hospice, in an ideal world, is done at home with adequate support, so that family can enjoy that person's last days and not have to suffer burnout in the process of trying to take care of the basic needs that that patient has.
Our daughter was in Albertsons, I think, and she was standing in line, and two women in front of her were talking about the hospice that her mother had just been put into, and how nice they were and everything like that. So Lisa caught this lady and asked her which one it was. So it was a specific one that we checked on, and it met the criteria for our insurance and things like that. So no brainer, we took it.
I think that my family physician recommended Harrison's Hope.
My brother recommended it.
No, we were searching for some alternatives to what we could see was going to happen inevitably, and we wanted to keep her at home as long as we could, and this was one of the things that would enable us to do that. And as it turned out, it was obviously the right decision for us to make.
Hospice is really, the word just means hospitality, and it really just means taking care of someone when they're ill. And hospice is an entire medical and clinical group that just comes to your home, wherever that may be, whether it's in the hospital, a nursing home, an assisted living, or in your personal home, and we come to you to take care of you, and having quality of life versus quantity of life.
I think what happens in medicine these days is it's become very technical and has, for many physicians, become all about the tests And I think it takes a certain mindset to appreciate hospice for what it is and what it can be.
Our son Harrison was born with congestive heart failure. He was probably less than 24 hours old, and his heart stopped, and he was being kept alive on a ventilator. And so when we came up with a name for a hospice, we really wanted people to understand that hope has more of a meaning than hoping for a cure. It can mean hope for comfort. Hope has so many different meanings, and at the time we didn't know if Harrison was going to live. We really just had hope for comfort.
To be honest, the thing that changed my view of hospice more than even hospice experience itself is that I've experienced death in a hospital setting, and having experienced it with my mom on hospice and my dad in a hospital, I made a conscious decision at that moment in my life that I would make it my mission for everybody to have it go the way that I had it with my mother.
She still was in her room. Her things were around. I'm sorry. But hospice, you couldn't have asked for a better situation than what we went into with hospice.
The people were just really super neat and helpful and just wonderful people.
Well, they just had more empathy on an individual basis than we could ever have expected. That we had an idea of what hospice might be.
We have actually looked forward to whenever the hospice would come, not just for Mary Ruth's comfort, but to talk to us too.
Hospice oftentimes is more about the families than it is about the patients. Believe it or not, the families are the ones who are left behind to deal with what happened and the loss of this loved one. And so the bereavement is a huge piece of hospice.
We went to the dove ceremony, and that was so beautiful. Each person went up and they were given a dove, and they would throw it up in the air and
I'd say, this is for, and whoever it was that had passed.
They flew all off together toward their home, and you'd see them, and then they would turn, and it was just gorgeous.
Before people are ready for hospice, you know, Harrison's Hope has a program where we have a nurse that goes out and visits patients before they even are ready to accept hospice. They might have a terminal disease, but they still might be in curative mode, and they can just, you know, talk with someone and have some home visits.
As a hospice, we would be able to provide all the support, both physical, emotional, and spiritual, to the family as well.
And so the education piece to families and to facilities and the people around who are helping taking care of that dying patient is one of the most important things that our clinicians do on a daily basis. We have so much knowledge about the dying person that we educate the families so that they can be successful in taking care of someone. I always tell people, whether you're a plumber or you are a waitress for a living, I'm going to teach you how to be a nurse overnight so that when I leave here today, you can do everything that needs to be done for your loved one without me even being here. And I oftentimes tell people we're like Home Depot. You can do it and we can help. And that's really all it is. Hospice is just a partnership with that family who really become the real caretakers and the real heroes at this time in their loved one's life.